And then we'll turn over the questions.
Yeah, sorry for the delay. Another good win for us. Josh Hartle, obviously threw the ball really well, 11 strikeouts, no walks. Those first two innings, they were kind of getting on time for both his fastball and his cutter. And I thought he made a really good adjustment, starting with the third inning to go into his breaking ball. He's usually more cutters than breaking ball. And today he was able to make that adjustment and go more breaking balls than cutters, which, I thought was a great adjustment by he and Coach Mascara that really made a big difference in today's game. I thought Brock Wilken, obviously Pierce Bennett, those two guys, Bennett Lee, good to see him going. I thought offensively we did some really good things. And our bullpen, really happy to see Derek Crum go out there, throw the ball well. Joe Arriola, was really good today. If we can get that version of Joe Arriola moving forward, then, we're kind of in business. Kurtz and Reinisch swung the bat a little bit today, so that's a good side. I think there's a good chance we have those guys on Tuesday. Certainly, if not Tuesday, then Friday. I think we all feel really confident about that. Crawford Wade looks like it's a season ender, unfortunately. So he's kind of considering his options right now. But looks like we've lost Crawford for the season. So certainly a bittersweet day in regard to that. But that's it. We got a good Wilmington team coming in here on Tuesday. So the good news is kind of got a rested, pitching staff. Reed Muscola will start for us. And then we've got really all our bullpen pieces will be on the board come Tuesday. So looking forward to getting back on the field.
In terms of, I know you talked about Josh just started a little bit today, but just further thoughts on, his performance in those first two innings and then in the back end, especially for strikeouts.
Yeah, I know. Again, I thought the difference was going to the breaking ball. Those first two innings, I probably only threw one breaking ball in those first two innings. And, the thing is with his fastball and his cutter, there's just not a whole lot of difference between velocity there. It's an 89, 90 mile an hour fastball and it's an 87, 88 mile an hour cutter. So when everything's hard like that, it doesn't really disrupt the hitter's timing. And, they were able to get clean swings on his cutter as a result. So again, I thought it was just a really good adjustment.
And then in terms of Bennett Lee, batting wise, a little bit of a tougher start to the season. And, some of that may be transitioning to Wade. What are your thoughts on his performance today? And if he's starting to, kind of get that technique?
Yeah, for sure. No, he started yesterday swinging the bat better. And the first, played the first half of the game yesterday and swung the bat much better. And then obviously that kind of, bled into today. And I thought, we had a kind of a base running error there with nobody out, getting a guy thrown out at the plate. And then, Mountain had a chance to get out of that inning with 2 outs. And then Chris Katz had a 2-out RBI single. And then Bennett Lee hit the 2-out, 2-run homer. And I thought that was really the difference in the game. If Mount gets off the field there in that inning, changes the whole momentum of that game and who knows what happens. But Chris Katz and Bennett Lee really picked us up.
And then in terms of offense, I know this is something I bring up after every game, but only 2 innings where the team didn't score a run. Is that something, that's pretty pleasing for you in terms of getting runs on the board across the game?
For sure. Really happy with the first inning. Anytime Brock goes backside like that, that's always a good sign. And so I was happy Tommy Walk draws a leadoff walk and then Brock homers. Anytime you're down 1-0, you don't want to, you want to be able to answer right away. And we did that. And then in the second inning, Pierce Bennett with the 2-out, 2-run home run on a kind of a hanging changeup. So again, 2 2-run homers in the first 2 innings to kind of, give us a little breathing room and let Josh settle in.
And then just in terms of this team, I think the expectations were always there, but do you feel like maybe the expectations internally are starting to get that much higher, or maybe the comfort getting into the season, knowing that this team is performing well? Just what's the vibe?
Yeah, we have high expectations for ourselves. Again, I know there's expectations from outside, but our expectations internally are higher than anybody else. So we're excited about it. The kids love being at the park. They love being around each other. Again, it's just a really fun clubhouse to be in right now. So, guys are fired up.
Anything on Zoom for Coach?
Tom, any adjustment that Bennett Lee made physically or any difference you noticed that's got him swinging better the last couple of days?
Yeah, I think it's been partly pitch selection, I think is the number one thing. Those first few games, he was probably pressing a little too much, especially when he started out, kind of over, a few and I think he was just kind of, a little heavy on the front side, getting kind of drifting, I guess, through his swing. So he kind of made an adjustment to kind of keep his hands back and stay on his backside a little longer and swing at the right pitches. So it wasn't a huge adjustment. It was just kind of a, just a little small adjustment that he made here the last couple of days for sure.
You're not to bring things down a bit in tone, but your depth is being tested a little bit early. Is this kind of a silver linings thing where you're finding stuff out about guys now rather than trying to rely on them in April or May?
No, for sure. That's exactly right, Connor. I mean, we went the whole weekend without Jake Reinish and Nick Kurtz. So, Chris Katz and Kyle Joy and some of those guys had to step up and they did a good job of that. So, it's always good to have those pieces, off the bench for sure. Andrew Nolan had a couple knocks over the weekend. Jack Monet got his first knock today. So, certainly Lucas Costello would have been in there, but he got a concussion on that line drive in the dugout yesterday. So Lucas wasn't available yesterday or today. So we were thin. I mean, again, we had, Justin Johnson got banged up in the game yesterday, but he kind of gutted it out and got through it. And, but we only had, I looked at the lineup card at one point, we had 5 position players, kind of available between Cueto, Winay, Nolan, Joy, and what am I missing? Maybe it was 4. I guess it was 4. Because Jackson Kramer is going to redshirt, so he wasn't available. And then obviously Cesare, Reinish, Kurtz, Reinish, Kurtz, Kramer, and Costello. None of those guys were available, so really down to 13 position players. Which is obviously not a ton of depth. But hopefully we get 2 of those guys back here, and Lucas. I don't. He'd kind of be. He won't be available Tuesday. I'm sure of that, but we might have him for the weekend.
Any
Can the same be
updates?
said? Whoops, sorry, Connor.
Any updates on Kurtz and Reinish? I might have missed you in the opening.
No, they swung the bat today. They both went out to the shack and hit off the tee and did some front side. They haven't taken BP on the field yet. Hopefully, if they both respond well to today swinging, I'm sure they'll hit on the field tomorrow and would potentially be available for Tuesday. But if not Tuesday, I don't think there's anybody that believes we won't have them on Friday.
No update on Teddy.
No, he's got an appointment down in Texas to see Dr. Meister coming up on March the 7th. So, still a ways out before we'll know for sure. But, again, we're not going to have him back if we have him back this year, which is looking less and less likely. It won't be for a while.
Can the same be said for the depth on your pitching staff that you mentioned with the hitters? I mean, because the scores are blowouts, you're running a lot of guys in there and getting a good look at them in game competition.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm really pleased with the way Arriola and Crum, throwing the ball. Really pleased with the way Cole Rollins throw the ball. Chase is throwing the ball well. So, we've got, and then obviously Nas, it was good to get him in there yesterday. And we did that intentionally. He would have been available to close today if we needed him, but we threw him yesterday as opposed to today, thinking that if we need him for 6 outs on Tuesday, we'll have him for that.
Yeah, just one more. In terms of, with Crawford Wade now being down, lefties, it kind of leaves you, Joe Arriola and Derek Crum. You got to see both of them today, get a little bit of depth out of them. Is there an idea, obviously they're going to be used more this year, but kind of that pecking order yet, but where did they see them?
No, hard to say on those 2 guys. They're both very different. So I think with those 2 guys, it's more kind of matchups than it is, really, who's ahead of who. Joe's fastball rides a little more and he's got a bigger breaking ball. Derek's, breaking ball is shorter with some sink and a changeup. So two very different style pitchers. So I think between those 2, it'll be more about the matchup than it will, who's throwing better than the other.
Based on what you saw today, especially from Joe, that confidence is starting to grow.
Starting to grow, really starting to grow. Joe was throwing through the ball really well today, and so did Derek. So I think both those guys are, and another guy that's kind of a sleeper in all this is Will Ray. Will Ray's been throwing the ball well for us. So I'm excited to get him back out there on Tuesday and kind of see what that looks like too.
Anything else on